Everybody says we've pivoted to digital events. And I think the reality is for most of us in the production world that we actually just pivoted to digital only. And I think as we get towards hybrid events, which we're going to talk about in our last segment, we'll learn a little bit more about that.
Hybrid, yes. And this meeting itself is a great example. Last year, Kelly and Judy and others put together amazing programming during the time of everyone being home. And we had more participation. We weren't limited geographically by who our speakers could be. And so we're going to carry that forward where we can do some virtual and some in person. So I'd like to know what you've thought about that, because you've done some really great events. All of you have covered today. What does it look like going forward?
I would love to live stream a physical gala, basically. That's, I think, what I'm looking at for next November is really being back in a venue if we can. But live streaming, so actually to keep that engagement from all over the country is the way to go. We actually raised the largest amount of money and saved 30% from our budget. I love the fact that I was able to say, come attend the gala. No price, no cost. It was really the most accessible gala ever, and it has opened new opportunities for us. So that aspect also is very important for us to keep that accessibility.
I have a lot of thoughts about this and having lots of conversations with nonprofits right now about what might hybrid look like for them. I think some of the things that have popped up for me are really leaning into whatever in-person community building elements you have, and also trying to create a way to virtually access those, because this might be the first time that your well-connected community gets back together. And you really want to make that feel special. I also think software, coming back to the tech, some of these platforms are now actually creating functionality intended to be able to function both in a live room and online flawlessly and seamlessly to create a commensurate experience and sort of not honor in person or online over the other one.
I was just going to kind of echo what Ariel had brought up, is especially with our community engagement events that we're putting on, we're noticing a high turnout rate and that people like that engagement because you can now attend a community forum event without ever having to leave your home. And so when we can actually do things in person, we know for sure we're going to have a live stream event that's going to have a Zoom account available for people to watch, comment, and be able to interact with whoever our speakers are.
I also learned a stat just 3 weeks ago from CES that 60% of companies have not started doing virtual events yet. They might have meetings that they do internally, but having an actual virtual event with an audience that's interactive, 60% of organizations aren't doing that yet. And I think that is going to change and has to change. Now that stat's from September, so I'm sure that's changed and reduced a little bit, but I think it's important. And as Ariel said, you can do a live event and push it out virtually, but how does that audience stay connected? So we're using third-party phone apps so that if I'm in the live room watching a speaker and I want to chat with someone who's not in the room but watching it virtually, I can do that through a third-party phone app. And that way, like Ariel was talking, you can do polls. So you have a poll that people can answer in the room on their phone, but they can also answer virtually, and that all comes in. When you pushed out a live stream on an event, you were basically just doing a broadcast show, and it wasn't really built for that audience. It was built for the in-room audience. So we also have to think about different camera angles. So in the room for IMAG, so that people can see the face in the 3,000 person auditorium, but then also we don't want just that angle online. So you'll have to have a second set of cameras that's pushing a feed to the virtual audience, the digital audience, and a feed for the in-room. And I think the key thing to remember about hybrid too is that length of event. So how do you keep an online digital audience engaged if you're going to go back to your 4-hour event? And we think that that's breaking up that event in portions that you can do over certain days. CES just finished, as I talked about before, and they went 3 days in a row. You could sign up starting at 4:30 in the morning because they were starting their keynotes at 7:30 East Coast time. I think that all has to be thought about how you pace with an in-room audience and an out-of-room audience.